Welcome back to another episode of Gridiron Lines. Gary McKenzie here, your host. And in today's episode, I'm going to get my crystal ball out and predictions as to what Brett Veach is going to do this offseason using my old noggin here. But before we get into that, I want to talk about last week's fan shout out. And this is an idea that I honestly thought was quite interesting. And Jackson 5781 says tag Orlando Brown and trade him to the Bears. Poles is the GM and loves Orlando. Orlando can help Fields, and we have two tackles waiting. As well, sign Jason Kelsey, put him at guard, and then move Thuney to left tackle because he has played there for us. Now, some of that I think is never going to happen, not in a million years. So the parts of that I don't think will ever happen are I don't think that the Chiefs are going to trade Orlando Brown Jr. after trading him, or I don't think they're going to trade Orlando Brown Jr. after franchise tagging him. I don't think the Chiefs are ever going to have Jason Kelsey on their roster, as cool as that would be. But moving Thuney to left tackle doesn't sound as crazy to me. And so we've all heard the news that Orlando Brown Jr. is most likely not going to get franchise tagged by the Chiefs. Today is March 7th. It's the morning as of the time I'm recording this. This video usually goes up in the afternoon. So by the time that you are watching this video, the Chiefs will have either franchise tagged Orlando Brown Jr. or let him become a free agent. If I had to guess which one I think would happen from all the reports I'm seeing, it looks like the Chiefs are going to let him walk. And so left tackle is one of the biggest positions of needs for this Chiefs team. And what do? What are their options at left tackle? Well, option A would be to sign Orlando Brown Jr. to a long-term contract or tag Orlando Brown Jr. for next season. And both of those will come with a hefty price tag. I think that if Orlando Brown Jr. is asking for or asking to be the top paid left tackle in the NFL, the Chiefs are not going to do that. They don't want to handcuff themselves with a contract for Orlando Brown Jr. when, quite honestly, he has played in the middle of the pack in terms of his tape, his production. It's really been Mahomes who is masterful at avoiding sacks. So I don't think that the Chiefs should pay him to be the highest paid offensive tackle in the NFL. I'm not sure if any other team will do it either. So option A is to try to keep Orlando Brown Jr. He's a serviceable player. Um, Obviously, was there for the Chiefs Super Bowl run last year. So I don't. It's not that I dislike Orlando Brown Jr. I just don't think he should be the top paid left tackle in the NFL. Option B would be if the Chiefs are unable to lock down Orlando Brown Jr. for next season, then they could move Joe Thuney to left tackle for a year. And I know this isn't optimal and it's not the best case scenario. And who knows what holes will show up in Thuney's game if he's forced to play a full season at left tackle. But if you look at the amount of money the Chiefs are the Chiefs are paying Joe Thuney, he's making left tackle money this year. And if the Chiefs were to lose Orlando Brown Jr., they could draft bulk at the tackle position or try and find someone in the free agent market. But the problem is that this year's draft class in terms of left tackle position is not super strong. And the free agent market in terms of left tackles is not very strong. So if the Chiefs are in a position where they cannot pay Orlando Brown Jr. what he wants to be paid, I think that Joe Thuney is your insurance for the Chiefs offensive line. And maybe he gets moved to left tackle, maybe he stays at left guard, but that's something that the Chiefs have in their back pocket to use. And then lastly, option C, the Chiefs could trade for left tackle, either through draft picks or player trades. The trade deadline or the trade season starts on March 15th. So we'll know more in about 8 days. So the reason the Chiefs are having this issue with cap space and they can't pay Orlando Brown Jr. what he wants to be paid is because they have several players on their team that have large contracts, none more notably than Patrick Mahomes' contract. So in 2022, the Patrick Mahomes' cap hit was about $35 million. In 2023, that jumps up to $49 million. So it's $14 million in difference. Then in 2024, it drops down to 44. 2025 drops down to 4 or goes to 46 million. And then 2026, it gets about 42 million. And then in 2027, that's whenever it jumps high to up to 60 million. So in terms of the cap for the Chiefs, 2023 is going to be a difficult year. But the next 3 seasons after that, with the cap expanding and becoming larger for each team, in 2024, 2025, and 2026, the Chiefs will be in prime position to not only acquire players, but to acquire good players and make a run with Patrick Mahomes during his prime. And that's the way this contract was set up. So that huge cap hit that happens in 2027, that's going to be a retooling year. Maybe the Chiefs do something with Mahomes' contract at that point in time. But the next 4 years for Chiefs fans, particularly 2024, 2025, and 2026, should be pretty good. But because of Mahomes' large cap hit, the Chiefs are going to have to get creative in 2023 to try to make things work. And so because of this lesser cap hit, this also allows the Chiefs to sign players long term through these next 3 or 4 seasons while keeping a cap hit low in 2023. So the top positions of need, as covered in a previous video by myself, are left tackle. That's a critical position of need. Then you have wide receiver and defensive end. Those are both high positions of need. Right tackle and defensive tackle, those are medium positions of need for the Chiefs. And then lastly, you have safety, quarterback, and running back. And those are low positions of need for the Chiefs. So this is where I put my Swami hat on and make my predictions. And so what is Brett Veach going to do? And I'm basing a lot of these predictions off of his behavior in the past that I've kind of witnessed and observed, particularly last year's draft. So in last year's draft, the Chiefs had a position need in the secondary, and they ended up drafting 4 players in the secondary last year. So what happened was Brett Veach went bulk. He acquired a lot of draft picks with the Tyreek Hill trade, and he decided to go bulk at a position of need. And the thought behind that is really bright. So what Brett Veach did, he said, I'm going to draft four defensive backs, and maybe 2 of them will pan out, and we'll improve the team that way. Well, it turns out that he drafted 4, and all 4 of them panned out, and you got kind of lucky. I think Brett Veach is a GM that puts his ego at the door. He's not very egotistical. I think that a lot of GMs, when they get to the draft, they kind of have this harebrained or fantasy idea that every single one of their draft picks is going to pan out. If you're more rational and you're more logical about it, you have a position of need, and you only have 2 really, really large scale positions of need on your team, why not draft 3 players at each position and let them all compete and see how they pan out? And then maybe one of those players turns out to be pretty dang good. It's the team that can do this is the Chiefs. They have a good roster, top to bottom. They have a large amount of draft picks, so they can execute this plan really well. And by doing so, you bring in young talent into your team. You also have affordable players that are contributing in a way that leads to championships. And so if the Chiefs were to make a playoff run and another Super Bowl run in 2024, I would believe that a few more rookies step up next season. And so Brett Veach has his work cut out for him, because the positions where I believe that they're going to need to get the rookies onto this roster are the tackle position and the defensive end position. 2 of the most difficult positions to find as far as talent pool goes. And so he's got his work cut out for him. But what do I think Brett Veach is going to do? In regards to Orlando Brown Jr., Now, as of the time you're watching this video, this could change, but I don't think Orlando Brown Jr. is going to play in Kansas City in 2023. I think he wants too much money, and I don't think the Chiefs are willing to pay him what he's asking for. I also don't think the Chiefs are going to franchise tag him because of the reports I've seen as of yesterday, but we'll see. You could be watching this video after the franchise tag deadline and be like, "Yep, Gary, you were dead wrong on that." But I think that what's going to happen, once again with my Swami hat on, that Thuney is going to move to left tackle for a year, and then Veach is going to draft Bulk at the tackle position. This will give the Chiefs' rookie left tackle time to adjust and get used to the speed of the NFL game, the strength of the NFL players on defense. And this also allows the Chiefs to draft a player who is a little more developmental, maybe has a high ceiling, but needs more time. And there are a lot of tackles like that in this draft. And so I think that what's going to happen, Orlando Brown Jr. not playing left tackle for Kansas City in 2023. Thuney takes that role with a development offensive tackle that has a high upside, is picked by the Chiefs in the draft. In regards to defensive end, I think that Veach drafts at least 3 defensive ends in this draft. I think he's going to draft at least 3 pass rushers. And I think one of these defensive ends will be a hit in Kansas City, will be a very good pass rusher. So I think that our long wait for a super productive pass rusher coming through to Kansas City in the draft, I think that happens this year. I think that Veach will find a wide receiver in free agency using the money saved from cutting Frank Clark. Whether this is re-signing Juju Smith-Schuster or going after a guy like DJ Chark or picking up someone like Keenan Allen. I think that Veach is going to find a good wide receiver in free agency, and it might be one of those 3, and they can do so by using the money that they're saving from cutting Frank Clark. I know you probably saw the news that came out, but I think it was Adam Schefter that said that the Chiefs are pretty much going to part ways with Frank Clark because his cap hit's too high. His cap hit's going to be $30 million next year. If they cut him, they save $21 million, and that's more than enough to sign a good wide receiver. Nextly, I think that at the defensive tackle position, an affordable depth defensive tackle is added. That could be your Colin Saunders, could be many different players. And then I think a mid-round, maybe 3rd or 4th round defensive tackle is selected in the draft and contributes to the team as a rotational player. Lastly, I think that, next to lastly, I think that an affordable right tackle starter signs with Kansas City, and I believe that might be Wiley. So I think Wiley's the top candidate for that. Sure, he doesn't have the best tape, and he didn't have the best performance in 2023, but he'll be affordable, and he's been with this team for a long time. So I'm happy with bringing Andrew Wiley back. I also think that with the left tackles or the tackles that Veach drafts, whoever is the affordable right tackle starter, they're going to be competing for their job with a draftee, with a rookie. In terms of the running back position, I think a mid to late round running back is selected, think 4th or 5th round, and they play a small role for the Chiefs in 2023. And then I think Shane Buechele is the backup quarterback for Mahomes in 2023. The Chiefs give him an RFA offer, and it's qualifying, so he accepts it. And I think safety is drafted in the middle or late rounds. Think round 5 or round 6. So that's how I see the Chiefs offseason panning out. That's what I think Brett Veach is going to do. What do you think? What do you think Brett Veach is going to do? Do you like my predictions? Do you think they're a little too crazy? What do you think about Joe Thuney at left tackle? Do you hate it? Do you love it? I think it's just a stopgap of trying to make the best of a bad scenario for the Chiefs. But in Veach we trust. I know that he's got this on lockdown, and the Chiefs are going to be good for years to come, particularly with the way Mahomes' contract is structured up until 2028, 2029. So this team is primed and ready to go on a crazy run. Hopefully that means multiple more Super Bowls, but it all starts with adding these new players and building the team. And Veach has done a wonderful job. I have full faith in him. But what do you think about my predictions? Do you think they're full of crap? Do you think they're good? Is there anything you disagree with? What do you think the Chiefs should do this offseason? With that, that's all I got. Make sure that if you like what you see here, that you click the subscribe button, and you also like this video, which helps get this content out to other Chiefs fans on YouTube. But that's all I got for you today. Take it easy. This is Gary, signing out.
Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.